I do want to mention another I told you so moment. One of the things that I actually consistently brought up over and over again was that a lot of young people that took a shot in the dark at Donald Trump because they were too young to remember what it was like when he was president, where he made a lot of gains from like Gen Z voters, would very quickly realize that he sucks ass. And I told you this ahead of time. I literally said, like, all these people that voted for him, especially young people that he was actively trying to get support from, because it was one of the only remaining avenues where people just like didn't have a fully fleshed out opinion of Trump, especially like a negative one. They were inevitably going to swing back around and go, this guy sucks. And the same goes for a lot of like independents, a lot of people in the margins. This is what happened in Trump 1 as well, right? People vote for the guy because they think he's going to break the systems. And he's also like, you know, he's also consistently talking about things that other politicians simply don't talk about, like moneyed interests and things like that. And then you vote for him, and then you realize he's just as fucking transparently corrupt as anybody else. I guess the only difference is he's transparent in his corruption, as opposed to like other groups that or other politicians that aren't as transparent. But he's also a bumbling old fool who's not improving people's lives at all. And they would inevitably turn around and go, yeah, this shit sucks. And here we are. Trump's dropped approval among 18 to 29-year-olds have gone up to a 66% disapproval, shot up 29%. His job approval among 18 to 29-year-olds is at 30%. That's minus 12. This is always the same shit. Remember, I talked to you about trans issues, for example. I told you, there is going to be a point where people go, wait a minute, he's dunking on trans people, but that's not actually improving my life. What the fuck? That's it. All of these issues are simple distractions. They're very successful at they're very successful at making people pay attention. They're very successful at like shifting people's priorities away from the issues that actually matter. But when you actually become the president, it's not just about, please don't read statistics if you aren't going to say the thing. What? But the polls are a lie. They're lying. The young people love me. Is that what you're saying? Oh, holy Toledo. Trump's job approval among 18 to 29-year-olds is down, down, down. Last time this was checked is in 225. February 2nd, 225. Is that good? That's what you were saying. You wanted me to say, holy Toledo. I am the 30%. Ask me anything. Let's fucking go, MAGA. I am the 30%. Suck my dick. Okay. Okay, dude. Why can't conservatives accept the L? Real events. Shooting in Oklahoma hospital. Multiple cops shot in Charlotte. Pray for Charlotte. Multiple cops shot. I don't think you are actually a Trump supporter. Hong Kong matters. Fuck China. Dem house control. Wait, maybe this was like one of those like liberals who then turned into a MAGA guy. Or maybe he's just memeing. I feel like he's just memeing. Maybe he is. Chatter, are you a former liberal turned? You are spot on. I was Dem. Oh, shit. No, this is great. Okay, following since 2020, November 3rd. Okay, obviously followed in the last election. Was a liberal. The election prior to this last one. Was a liberal, but was like a pro-NatSec, pro-NATO, anti-America's foreign adversary style liberal. And I guess like if I am to look at what radicalized them, I would suspect that it was maybe in like the 2021 era, post 2021, like we found a shiny. No, I don't think this is a shiny. I think this is like, and it's not head trauma either. No. I think this guy became pro-Trump after BLM protests and stuff like that, because he's talking about like multiple cops being shot in Charlotte. So if I were to clock him, I would say that it was like, I joined the military in 2018. Okay, that could be part of that. That could be part of it. But I think this is a COVID radicalization. Hard crime lib, the Anna Kasparian route. It could be hard crime, crime panic liberal that turned reactionary, turned into a Republican. It could be the type of motherfucker that like was a COVID guy. Could be a COVID guy as well. Like Democrats went heavy-handed with COVID policies that turned me into a fucking Republican. Or it could be that he like started watching other liberal content creators, moved away, wanted to vote Biden 2020, but never got a mail-in ballot at my duty station. Maybe watched like some sex pestiny on his journey, and eventually became more and more reactionary. Potentially, I don't know, because that's usually Kamala never won a primary, so that ruined democracy for me. That's funny. Yeah, he got scratched. Scratch a liberal and a fascist bleeds. That's what happened. Who did he want in the 2020 primary? He says he was Biden. Was he a trash can lib who got brain broken? I mean, I can totally see people that move away. Love you though, man. Keep up the content. I would go so far as to say guys like this, they think that people like myself are like nefarious actors. Maybe not him. He doesn't think that, or at least he still thinks that this is like entertaining enough. But guys like this, I think usually they get de-radicalized by the likes of people who are constantly saying like the radical left is too radical, but liberal style. And then that actually swings them back in the direction of, they're just like easily manipulated. But that usually swings them back in the direction of Trump eventually. Most just think you're dumb, to be honest. Why is it funny? Most just think you're dumb, to be honest, or ask him moron. Like this guy. This guy, 1,000% in a couple years is also going to be firmly a right winger, right? This is the exact type of guy I'm talking about. Guys that come in here, they watch for a little bit, or they watch sex pestiny, molestiny. They maybe move on to like Asmongold, right? And then slowly but surely, without realizing, because all of their political worldview is developed by like listening to content creators. Yeah, too late, dummy. There you go. That's what happens usually. They just they go from like centrist positions eventually into the right wing positions. I don't understand hate watchers. What's the point, please? No, I love guys like this. I love guys that are who are at 2025 when we're fucking talking 8 months into the Trump presidency, 9 months into the Trump presidency. Guys who are like, nah, I still ride with Trump pretty hard, as we're looking at fucking polls that show a lot of people have extreme discontent with the administration for obvious reasons. That is 100% my favorite type of guy in the chat. I value that type of person. I love my hogs. Okay. I love my hogs. It's not a secret. I want to know what flavor of Kool-Aid they drank, how they arrived at those positions. It's an important part of like de-radicalizing people like this. You know, I'm here, Law. I agree with some of what you say. Okay, explain to me what you agree with and what you disagree with. I'd peg you as a sociopath, to be honest. I'd attribute it to a desire for power, you running for office. Ironic, because I've always said no to that. You are doing the same. Transpons narrative to a different premise. If you read The Decline of Trump Approval, just show which policies are causing it, not just fish. One of them, all of which fits your narrative. It's not one of them. It's all of them. Because the entire political infrastructure in this country revolves around refusing to address the major issues that pertain to people's material conditions, the cost of living, rent, which requires you to tackle the housing market. This is a very moneyed interest a project that needs to maintain this finite supply of housing. A lot of people with money, a lot of people with capital want to make sure that the housing market stays as fucked as it is, which creates a lot of fucking homeless people, for example. And when you see that homelessness, when you see the homeless population, you go, oh, there's crime that's everywhere. Poverty is everywhere. Crime is everywhere. And then you want more militant responses. Trump is filling that need very well. But in that process, there's a lot of people that go, I voted for Donald Trump because I thought he was going to fucking make things more affordable. Things are less affordable than they ever were. And the only thing that's happened so far is that they're just like sending the fucking military. Trump said he was going to tackle the issue of migrant crime. It turns out the migrant crime panic was completely fucking made up hysteria. We got that inequity is the main issue, but why not focus on that? What do you mean? I am focusing on that. Anyway, the other chatter is just a chirper. He's stupid. So your goal is to build a pretty much disagree everything but Israel? Wait, but you went from F Hamas to pretty much disagree with everything but Israel. So your goal is to build a populist left, correct? I mean, yeah, that's strange. He's one of those realignment right-wingers who agrees with the left on economic policy. Actually curious because I've heard you say it plenty since following that you'll never run for office. You say we need legitimate, honest, and principled politicians. and you have a not insignificant following, like what's stopping you? I think you need to be cut from a different cloth to be able to fucking run for office and actually be a politician. And I am not cut from that cloth at all. This is what I'm good at. I'm a good propagandist. I'm not a good administrator. I think one thing I heard you say that cuts through all the crime hysteria bullshit is that what people are really complaining about is visible poverty, aggressive panhandling, and dirty, poorly maintained streets. It's not about the actual stats. Yeah, exactly. Homelessness is one of the most visible aspects of poverty, and poverty translates to people thinking that there is major crime happening. A lot worse crimes that you fantasize about happening all around the country. So when you see homeless people in the streets, and when you see like other visible aspects of poverty, like locking up deodorant at CVS, you go, crime is completely out of fucking control. That's it. But yeah, I don't know what this guy is saying, but the other guy, let's see, what was his radicalization journey? I want to know. I wanted Bernie 2016 attended a rally in National City. Appreciate the love of Hassan. Just wanted the U.S. to truly be united. Keep up the content, my man. I love guys like this. The guys who are like, I really love Bernie. So I voted for the diametrical opposite of Bernie Sanders, with the exception of like, I guess, presenting himself as a fighter against the established Republican Party. Because the only thing you can point to with respect to like Bernie versus Trump is that Bernie is seen as an outsider to his own party. He's an independent. And Trump presented himself as an outsider and in some respects was an outsider to the Republican Party. But he very quickly whipped the rest of the Republican Party to his own design, to his own desires. And also, a lot of what Trump does is basically just a maximalist position that you would logically arrive at with years and years of reactionary propaganda. So Donald Trump is not different than the average Republican in many respects. But it's just funny because like, this is, guys, I would bracket this off as like the third category. If politics are team sports for many Americans because of their inability to recognize that policies are what matter and not the politicians or the team that you're voting for, the third category is the independent guy, the anti-establishment guy. Obviously, the first category is vote blue no matter who, and then the second category is the vote red no matter dead. The Republicans. But then the third category is the outsiders, the people that fancy themselves to be anti-establishment. Okay? These are the three major reasons as to why people actually vote for people. This is a real issue. That's precisely the reason why when Republicans, or not Republicans necessarily, but when Democrats actually don't present a real robust response to growing fascism, or when Democrats, when they're in charge, don't actually follow through on their agenda items and are constantly fucking hit with like legislative setbacks that they're seemingly unable to overcome, a lot of people still go, shut the fuck up. They're still better than the Republicans. Or when they come around to Republican positions and reactionary framing on issues such as immigration, the notion that immigrants actually constitute a national security threat, for example, in the way that like Kamala Harris presented it in this last election cycle, Democrats go, you got to vote for the Democrats, shut the fuck up. Those are the vote blue no matter who guys. They don't believe in the policies. They don't believe in any sort of like discernible ideology. There are Pew Center research. There is consistent Pew research on the matter. 20% of Americans vote on ideological grounds, which are, I guess, the closest that you could point to in terms of like an association with tangible policy goals. And 80% on both sides actually vote for partisan reasons. They vote for a party because their parents did. They vote for a party because they've always voted for said party. Okay? And the reality of the matter is these independent guys also are the same. Because if someone were to actually like Bernie Sanders for his policies, right? Medicare for all, free college for all, and not simply the aesthetic of like being anti-establishment, they would never actually flip from Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump. Because Donald Trump obviously is antagonistic to the major reasons why people are supposed to like Bernie Sanders. That's it. That's why a lot of these guys go from like, oh, I voted for Bernie or I wanted Bernie Sanders, but now I actually like Donald Trump. That to me means that you are in the third category of partisanship, which is to remain nonpartisan, to remain anti-establishment. That's the only thing that binds Bernie Sanders in some way to Donald Trump. Does that make sense? For me, There's a reason why Bernie got way more Republican crossover voters than any moderate lib ever dreamed of getting. These aren't leftists who moved over to the right. They're ex-apolitical or once ex-conservatives who saw a different option than the status quo. Yeah, it's vibes-based for the most part. But once again, I don't have an issue with vibes-based voting. I mean, I wish that it wasn't vibes-based. What I have an issue with is non-policy-driven voting, okay? If I were to explain my main role here, it's to try to get every single person that tunes in to actually care about the policy agenda, to actually care about holding politicians to account regardless of party affiliation. Okay? That's it. And unfortunately, given, and not to get too Marxist here, but given the reality that we have a bourgeois capitalist democratic process that is supposed to have a bipartisan attitude on major issues that pertain to, you know, some of the most consequential aspects of your life, like privatized medicine, privatized healthcare, an incredibly costly college education that is getting increasingly more costly, endless military, endless warfare around the globe, endless fucking money to the military. These are things that, like, neither major party actually disagree on. It's established as the truth. It's established as this, like, reality, because those are the things that, like, the average person actually worries about and actually cares about. And yet there is an established consensus there. American politics turns into team sports. So the people that are super tuned into this stuff do not care about the policies at all, do not care about, like, holding politicians to account when they refuse to push for these policies that they promised that they would actually push for when they are in charge. That's my goal. I don't give a fuck who's advocating for what. I care about the actual policies, okay? I don't care about the letter next to their name. Of course, I have a lot of smoke for the Republican Party because the policies that they supposedly care about are also genuinely harmful. And at best are simple distractions, okay? But the reason why I have a lot of smoke for the Democrats are also because they don't follow through on any of the agenda that they claim to care about, any of the issues that they claim to care about, okay? That's it. We got to hold these motherfuckers accountable. Anyway, do I regret playing Among Us with AOC? No, fuck no. Why would I? No, of course not. I think a lot of people don't understand that I use the Democratic Party because it's the only game in town that is supposed to be the ostensible left flank of American politics. Because I'm a firm and committed believer that a lot of people who are self-identified liberals are not as antagonistic to the policies that I'm advocating for. The goal is to capture their attention and get them to also be diehard fighters for these causes. Okay? You might disagree with that. You might say it's entryism, it's stupid, it's silly. You're just an advocate for the same imperial coin. And that's fine, okay? But I don't see you building a revolutionary vanguard anytime soon. And if you look to the actual current cultural attitudes towards the left, if you look to the current attitude towards socialism in this country, we are a far way out from building any sort of revolutionary vanguard anyway. So right now, advocacy is perhaps more important than anything else. Having prominent left politicians run for positions of power and show that there's an alternative vision there that will hopefully capture the attention of enough Democrat Party voters that demand more of the same type of fucking policies and the same type of politics that you see from the likes of Zoran Mamdani is the best possible way to even bring about maybe down the line a revolutionary vanguard, if that's what you choose to do so. Same goes for unions. Okay? You should just pivot to classic liberalism and have some hope for getting a W one day. And all of that is where it comes crashing down. We ain't going to vote for socialism, Bubba. You should pivot to classic liberalism. Brother, don't you understand that this is my genuinely held worldview? Also, there is not a single fucking person that you could present that is a classical liberal that has the same level of fucking prominence in this sphere as someone like myself. So I don't know what you're talking about in terms of like an organically built movement around uncompromisingly pushing for these fucking pushing for these policies. Okay. And not only that, but I already showed you one of these one of these W's with Zohran Mamdani. People despise liberals. They just hate it. I know your views. You're pretty clear. Socialists just need to appeal to incels, and it's easy. Outline how it will get easier to get pussy under socialism, and there will be a revolution within 1 year. Yeah, I don't think so. But good one. Hesan isn't a great guy, just saying. Thanks, John Smith, 3362. You're really going to make an impact in this community. Any day now. No problem, my man. I got you. Any day now, you're gonna convert some of these guys into also building their entire worldview around simply being antagonistic to whatever fucking position I hold. Like, that's not real politics. You know what I mean? That's just like you're listening to a fucking dumbass. If their entire political output, an entire commentary output revolves around like whatever fucking drama that their favorite content creator got into, then they're not serious people. They have no interest, you know? Anyway, I forgot where we were, but yeah, Trump is unpopular. And I told you this was going to happen. And I told you this was going to happen with the youth as well, with the youth vote especially. And it swung dramatically